it's time to conclude the journey. It's time to connect the dots and see the big picture. What causes obesity and weight gain? Too much eating, unhealthy food, sedentary lifestyle, laziness, digestive disorders, hormone imbalance, unhealthy sleep cycle, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and so forth. Every one of these causes has something in common. Toxic stress. Yes, every single cause we listed is a stressor. The toxic stress that's generated by these causes would complicate the digestive system, and the complication would end up in obesity. Initially, obesity is a consequence of stress, but in time, it begins to cause more stress to the digestive system. Eventually, the consequence evolves into a cause. That's how they cooperate with each other. Doesn't this reveal a simple truth? Yes, it's the toxic stress that gives birth to obesity, not the external factors. External factors merely transport the stress into the system. Stress is the mastermind behind obesity. Let's keep this in mind and continue. What are the triggering factors for mental disorders such as depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, and so forth? Major life changes, family history, traumatic events, death or loss of someone, conflicts, divorce, accidents, disastrous events, major illness, domestic abuse, sexual abuse, child abuse, problems during pregnancy, loneliness, social isolation, abandonment, emotional neglect, brain chemical imbalance, hormone imbalance, genetic factors, substance abuse, mind-altering drugs, unhealthy sleep cycles, environment, climate change, and the list goes on. What is common in every one of these factors? Again, every single one of these factors is a known stressor. The stress that's generated by these factors is what leads to mental disorders. Doesn't this also reveal the same truth? Yes, it's the toxic stress that's giving birth to depression, anxiety, bipolar, and so forth, not the risk factors. The risk factors merely transport the stress into the system. The mastermind behind depression would always be the stress. What's emerging as the ultimate truth when we merge the facts? Unless we find a way to keep the toxic stress permanently at bay, there's no permanent solution for obesity or mental disorders. Isn't this the ultimate truth? Now, the question we need to ask is how to keep stress at bay. Are there any answers to this question? Of course there are many, and that's the problem. The number of answers out there is overwhelming. It's way too much for an average person to handle. Let's see some examples of those answers. Avoid stressful situations. Relax, breathe, write, read, spit it out, enjoy everything, be happy, do not worry, recognize the things you can't change, make peace with the past, focus on the present, meditate, work out, massage, take a walk, engage in social activities, change your outlook, therapy, counseling, hobby, music, laugh, spend time in nature, spend time with pets, connect with the loved ones, make love, time management, conflict resolution, positive thinking, adequate sleep, healthy diet, take your vitamins, say no to bad habits, have fun, talk with family, spend quality time with friends, good habits, slow down, help others, and the list is never going to end. The list includes many solutions. But clearly, this isn't a simple solution. The never-ending list is way too much to follow. It's impractical for most people. But the good news is, there's a much simpler solution. It's about beginning where stress is born. That's where we find the simple and permanent solution. That's exactly where we're going to go now. Let's first simplify the facts. All the risk factors for obesity and mental disorders originate from three primary sources. 1. Interpersonal relationship difficulties. 2. Unhealthy sleep cycle. 3. Insufficient body movements. These factors serve as coordinates to form a 3D space. With the exceptions of accidents and chemical exposures, every single cause of obesity and mental disorders resides in this 3D space. Hard to believe? Then let's have a look at them one by one. Primary source 1. Interpersonal difficulties. What are the emotional outcomes of interpersonal relationship difficulties? Sadness, disappointment, loneliness, emptiness, anger, fear, hate, pain, trauma, and so forth. And what will be the consequence of the prolonged existence of any of these feelings? None other than the toxic stress. In short, interpersonal difficulties lead to stress. Stress then leads to obesity and mental disorders. In other words, interpersonal difficulties end up in obesity and/or mental disorders. Let's go a little deeper. Every interpersonal relationship complication creates any of the following three senses. A sense of needing someone. A pain of losing someone. A pain of having someone intolerable. Difficult to comprehend? Let's see some examples. Let's examine loneliness. We know that loneliness is a stressor. Here's what the experts say about this. Loneliness is a significant biopsychosocial stressor that contributes to multiple chronic conditions. Loneliness is associated with obesity and with psychological stress in obese persons. Loneliness leads to depression. Loneliness leads to psychiatric disorders. Loneliness can affect the brain like physical pain. Just Google these statements and see for yourself. Now the big question. What do you think loneliness is all about? It's all about a sense of needing someone, isn't it? What about sadness, psychological pain, and trauma? They too lead to obesity and mental disorders by causing stress, aren't they? What kind of events trigger sadness, pain, and trauma? Death of loved ones, divorce, breakup, major loss, disasters, war, poverty, and so forth, correct? Here's what the experts have to say about this. Bereavement is a major source of life stress that often leaves people vulnerable to later problems, including depression, chronic stress, and reduced life expectancy. The death of a child is a traumatic event that can have long-term effects on the lives of parents. The bereavement period is associated with elevated risk for the onset of multiple psychiatric disorders consistently across the life course and coincident with the experience of a loved one's death. Now we know how much stress these feelings create. What's the underlying sense in these particular feelings? Isn't it all about a pain of losing someone? Absolutely. Let's see another example. What about anger, disappointment, hate, and fear? What are the means of triggering these emotions? Violation and abuse, correct? Let's see what experts say about this. Most serious adult depressives have experienced child abuse. Traumatic experiences such as child abuse or neglect change the chemistry and even the structure of the brain. Child abuse primes the brain for future mental illness. Early abuse leads to depression later in life. Just Google these. You'll realize how true this is. Now the big question. What is the underlying sense here? It's always about one being forced against his will to tolerate somebody, isn't it? Yes, it's all about a pain of having someone intolerable. Are you beginning to see the big picture as we connect the dots? Yes, every stressful event in life has pretty much everything to do with the relationships with other people. It could be a sense of needing someone. Or it could be a pain of losing someone. Or it could be an excruciating pain about having someone you wish you never had in life. The bottom line is, it's always about interpersonal relationship. Let's keep this in mind and look into the remaining two sources. Primary source 2. Unhealthy sleep cycle. Quality sleep is essential for a healthy life. Quality sleep means adequate sleep during the right hours. And the right hours means the night hours. We are designed to rest at night and actively work in the morning. When our sleep cycle goes against this design of nature, everything falls apart. An unhealthy sleep cycle is a proven source of toxic stress. It's not a speculation. Here's what the experts say about this. Sleep deprivation leads to increased cortisol level, which is the same hormone released during stress. Almost any sleep disorder can mess with mood. But insomnia, nightly sleeplessness for 3 weeks or more, has the strongest link to major depression. When you lose sleep, your stress level keeps increasing. As your stress level increases, this results in increased production of a certain hormone called cortisol, whose main action is to convert energy to fat for future use. This results in obesity. Staying up late at night could make you fat. A growing body of evidence also suggests that there's a link between how much you sleep and your weight. Night owls at risk for weight gain. The rise in obesity over recent decades has been accompanied by a growth in chronic sleep problems. It's a proven fact that unhealthy sleep cycle is a primary source of stress. What does it tell us? As long as we have a messed up sleep cycle, there's no permanent solution for obesity or mental disorders. Isn't this the ultimate truth? Absolutely. Now let's look into the third source. Primary source 3. Insufficient body movements. It's only this part that most people discuss. 9 out of 10 people concentrate only on workouts, along with dieting, to deal with obesity. And it works to some extent. But they soon realize that something is missing. As soon as they stop their workouts, they regain the weight they lost. Why would it happen? That's because they concentrated only on one of 3 dimensions. They failed to recognize relationship complications and sleep cycle as other sources of stress. They should have worked simultaneously in all 3 dimensions. The truth is simple. We don't have to starve for months to lose weight. Nor do we have to spend hours at the gym. All we need is a healthy relationship with the people around us. A good night's sleep, and some body movements. That's all it takes. And the body movement doesn't even have to be a workout. It could be a short walk in the out. It could even mean playing hide and seek with your loved one. That's all the body movement it takes. Is this a difficult task to accomplish? Is this too painful to do? Or is it just a way of having some fun? Always remember, the permanent solution to complex problems is always simple. And this is such a good example. Let's simplify the facts. The root cause of obesity and mental disorders such as depression, anxiety, bipolar, PTSD and so forth is stress. Keeping stress permanently under control is the only permanent solution to obesity and mental disorders. To keep something under control, one must know its source and the means of its entry. Toxic stress comes in through 3 doorways. Interpersonal relationship difficulties, unhealthy sleep cycle, and lack of body movements are those doors. shutting all 3 doors is the only way to keep stress permanently out. That's the only permanent solution to obesity and depression. Most of us shut only one door and hope for the solution. But stress would still manage to get in through the open doors. That's why their solutions don't last for long. For example, many obese people concentrate only on their physical appearance. They engage only in workouts and diet programs. Eventually, they get tired and give up. Likewise, many people who are mentally ill focus only on their condition. They only get therapies, counseling, and medication. In the end, they realize that the solutions don't last for long. The major mistake those people make is that they fail to realize the truth. It's not about just closing one door. It's about simultaneously closing all 3 doors. Working simultaneously in all 3 dimensions is the only permanent solution. That's the only way to live happily ever after. Now we know what to do. But how do we do it? Do we have a simple way of doing it? Of course, there are ways. And we are going to discuss them soon. This journey was only about identifying the root of the problem. We've successfully done it. So this journey is over. We'll soon begin a new journey. It's going to be about simplifying the solutions. Stay tuned. See you soon. Please subscribe to Stay Tuned.